space. The final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Adequate. Our ongoing mission until we are cancelled and replaced by something far superior. To review every Star Trek episode and movie in existence. To seek out new guests and make them very uncomfortable. To boldly go where many other YouTube shows have gone before. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Trekkin Up North. I'm one of your hosts, Captain Goodwill, and joining me, as ever, is the velour-clad, the gorgeous science officer, Synoiz. Hello.
I thought you said to boldly go, and I was just like, oh, right, thanks.
To boldly go, yes.
To boldly go.
Give it a few more weeks at work.
I have been before. I just started laughing when we were doing the intro because we were just having a conversation, then suddenly you just start saying numbers, and it took me a while to realize it was a countdown. I was like, oh, okay, right.
Shh, don't tell them how the sausage is made.
Yeah. 10, 9, 8, oh, he's going to do a special ability.
We are professional at Nerdy Up North. We have countdowns until we go live. But no, how are you this week, Synoiz?
I'm good. What is it? I've actually not done anything this week. It's been quite a lovely, restful week, I think. What did we do? On Tuesday, I went on a date, and it was terrible. I've already posted about it on social media, but that was quite fun, but it led to Wednesday being a write-off due to hangover. And being a bit miffed. But yeah, it's been pretty good. It's been quite nice just having a chill, yesterday I got to go to the wake for Danny Best, who is the friend that we lost a couple of weeks ago, who went missing, and so it was really good having like a sort of where I had to miss the majority of it and get there after I finished work.
Yeah.
But like it was really good to be there with everyone and stuff, and everyone got to like tell their stories and have some cocktails in their name, you know.
Oh yeah.
So it's important. How are you doing?
Shit. Okay, so
moving on.
No, it's been a difficult week. I won't lie to our wonderful viewers. Hello, everyone in the chat. Adam Bailey reporting for duty. We've got Christopher. We've got someone called Synoiz in the chat saying, "Beaches!"
Beaches!
We've got the lovely 13-foot tall bearded musician. That is Adam, who does the theme tune for Trekkin Up North. Hey, Adam. Who have we got? We've got Beth, Christopher, we've got Paul, we've got everyone in the chat here. Hello, everybody. We love you all. My friends went to Disneyland last week, Synoiz.
Hey!
And they brought me a present.
Yeah.
Would you like to see it?
Could it be? Oh, God. I've just seen it.
Have you just seen it?
Oh, my God.
Look at that.
You're a gorgeous princess, you are. You're stunning. You're everything.
I am a Disney princess.
I love how you're kind of evolving. It's like Pokemon, where you started off with like the single horn, and now you've gone to like the Mickey ears horn.
Yes, that's right. We are going full copyright infringement tonight. Oh shit!
That is absolutely beautiful.
Oh, it's in my eyes. There we go. But also, oh, my little mic fell off. There we go. Oh, there. Also, we had a little competition this week, didn't we?
We did. We had a little competition where someone could win an extra large. I won't shut up about this fact that it's an extra large t-shirt.
Win a tent.
Do we know if they're gonna if it's gonna fit them or just be really baggy? I'm gonna guess when we see who wins whether it's gonna be really baggy.
Think of it this way: if someone wins it and it fits them, bonus. If someone wins it and it doesn't fit them and it's too baggy, then they can just say that they're living out their best 90s lives.
Yeah, that's it. We'll get those really long jeans as well.
Yeah.
With massive pockets. Yeah.
But also, they could also win these lovely erased stickers that we've got. We've got
so beautiful.
Look at that. We've got Trekking Up North. We've got the Scooby Gang, minus Velma. And we've got Nerdy Up North, Stranger Things. Ooh.
It's so strange.
But we have a whole host of stackers to win as well.
Adam's saying the t-shirt would fit him, and I'm like, not the guns, not the guns.
The t-shirt won't be on for long, Adam.
Delicious.
Report to holodeck 2. Yeah. So
is this sexual harassment? Thinking about it, Adam, is this sexual harassment?
Yes. Anyway, we have got all the names because the competition closes at 6 p.m. tonight. I have got all the names in a lovely spinny wheel that I will show later, and the name will be drawn at random. And whoever wins it, excuse me, 40 a day, whoever wins it will be receiving a lovely t-shirt. We have had some international competition entries, I will say that. So you may have to wait until I get paid in order for me to
we
send
did tell
it.
them that, like, rather than paying for postage, we're just going to chuck it in their general direction. We just go like,
I'm going to get one
did
of
I
those.
get to Chicago?
I'm gonna put it in a bottle, and I'm just gonna yeet it into the Atlantic, and just see if it goes in that general direction.
I love the idea that someone on an island, like a sort of native somewhere, basically gets the bottle, opens it, pulls the t-shirt out, and was like, "Oh, it's an extra large."
But they may subscribe. Anyway,
They might subscribe.
There's always a chance. Big shout out to Spectrum Sanctorum this week. Hope you are watching, guys. Good evening. Shout out to the Shuttlepod Show, who did their very first live show last Sunday.
Yeah.
They did a watch along of The Balance of Terror. And made us realise why Paramount Plus really isn't that worth spending at the moment, because it was a horrendously cut episode. Everyone, like, they did a watch along with the crowd, but obviously for copyright reasons you can't show it on YouTube. So
that was the really weird thing. It was like, those New Year things where it's like, if you press play at this time, then you will end the new year with this happening. It was like that, where they were like, hey, line up the episode, and when we tell you to press play,
Yeah.
and then we'll be in sync. And it was like, it's crazy that you have to coordinate it that way, but it was kind of cool.
It was insane because I was like, I could never be more in sync than I'm in sync now. And they pressed play, and the very first scene was missing. And it was like, what? Like, it was like, there was a wedding.
Very unbalanced for Terror.
It was very unbalanced for Terror. It was like, there's like a really definitive scene in this episode. And it was like, Paramount's like, yeah, we're going to cut it out. And everyone was like, so we're already like 4 minutes out of sync with everyone else. So bless Shuttlepod. It was a good success. It was a great success. They really pulled it off. Shout out to Mark, Connor, Dominic. Well, not Dominic. Dominic's on holiday. But shout out to Erica.
He's a busy boy.
He is a busy boy, yes.
He's a busy boy.
Shout out to all the crew who were able to pull that off. Yeah, we don't envy you, but it was a monumental task and you did it. So I hope to see more in the future. And also shout out to Trek Culture, who is encouraging everyone to sign a petition to save Star Trek Prodigy. Because you can cancel a show, but to fucking remove it from your service is a bit of a dick move.
Why are they doing that? Is that like, because it's their show, so surely they don't have to pay to keep it, right? Or...
I'm wondering if it's like a licensing thing with Nickelodeon, perhaps. But a lot of streaming services are removing shows, and this also hits, it reiterates the point I've been saying for a long time: physical media. You can't take away the DVDs and the Blu-rays. So
the Blu-rays.
The
you
Blu-rays.
can't take away my Blu-rays now.
Blu-rays. I knew a Blu-ray, but for a different reason.
What was his name? Is he an Andorian?
Goddamn pink skins. Sorry.
That's why you're not friends with him anymore. Bloody Ray.
Bloody yeah.
Xenophobic bastard.
Getting in there with Gary the Ferengi, that's what he's been doing. Adam Bailey, the Islanders start worshipping Trekkin up north when they find the bottle, yes. Good for you, man. Damien's in the chat. Hi, Damien. Damien's one of my followers on Twitter.
Is it Damien or Damon?
Is it Damon? Damon. I'm dyslexic as anything.
I quite like Damon, actually.
I apologise, Damon.
Hello, Damon. Hey, how you doing? You doing good?
He's a very handsome man, Synoiz.
Is he a handsome man?
Handsome man, yes.
Give me 5 minutes to follow.
Yes.
No, I've got to pretend I know what my Twitter password is.
Anson Mount is a handsome man. I think, yeah. Handsome Mount. Handsome Mount. This is like Hodor, isn't it? It's like you started at Hold the Door. This is like Anson Mount. Anson Man. Handsome Man.
Ansonat. Yeah.
Anson Mount, mate. Anson Mounty for Due South. The Due South regeneration, the Due South remake. It's going to happen. Anson Mounty will star. Okay? It's going to happen.
It will. But yeah, I hope everyone in the chat is good and that you had a lovely week.
It's Friday! If you are watching this live.
We have a weekend. I was just saying this is, while obviously Star Trek is one of my nerdy things, I've also got to finish a D&D campaign tomorrow. And yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough one to finish this campaign because I am a horrible villain in it. And I have to somehow win against everyone in the party. It's a funny thing, but we'll see if I can pull it off. So yeah, I'm having to look through the book being like, tricks.
Is your name the Bastard Snatch?
The Bastard Snatch. It's really silly, actually, because I was thinking that it was like, I've got another character that I did for like it was like a murder mystery party where his name was Bob Cut and he lives there and he's from Yorkshire. And I had this big stupid Boris Johnson style wig on. But then I was thinking that I could do a whole family of him, of drag king sort of personas, but where the surname's always Cut. So it's like Half Cut and Bob Cut and like... And he just went through my head and I was like, I have enough on. Let's not do this.
The Bob Cut. I like that.
Oh, it's raining, isn't it, Beth? It's awful.
Oh, it's raining, Beth, I tell you. You better get your clothes in.
Dogs.
Get your clothes in. Is it spitting? Is it spitting?
It's full on vomiting out here.
Is it full on vomiting? Let's have a look. It's a tad moist outside the U.S.S. Adequate, I'm not going to lie.
That is outside, it is moister than me. And that's saying something.
That's quite a lot, yes. Damon says, it sounds like I'm listening to my family with the English accent. My God. I feel sorry for your family if you've got our accent.
Hello, Damon. What do you want for Christmas?
You're right, Damon Pet. How's it going, fella? I tell you.
Do you want a banana and half a crab? Which half? Back or front? I don't know where I'm going with this. Right, okay. So anyway, this episode then.
Yes.
Is it called Charades?
Or Charades, depending on your dialect.
Yeah, I pronounce it Charades.
Do you commoner? Yes, guys. Let's get into reviewing Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 2, Episode 5, titled Charades. Well, shut up. We start off at Stardate 1789.3, where the Enterprise is en route to the Vulcan system. And we start with Chapel's personal log. So this is going to be a Chapel-centric episode, perhaps?
Well, that's it. I was thinking it was like Ortega in the previous one, where I was just like, oh, is it going to be a Chapel episode? And it kind of is.
Kind of is, yeah. So the Enterprise is en route to the Vulcan system to go to a moon on the far side of the sector to study an ancient civilization called the Kirk of Civilization.
The Kirkov, yeah.
The Kirkov. And I was like, in my hallucinated, tired state yesterday, I was like, is this the Kirkov? Because I was thinking, are they finally doing Keiko O'Brien? And then I realised it was something that we made up. And I was like, no, it's Kirkov. So I was like, I wonder who that is in a nod of.
We were doing this, me and Goodwill. We met up for Sammy's birthday on Sunday. And we were talking, we were looking on Cameo, you know, the thing where you can pay like celebrities to like say hi and stuff. And we were trying to find Rosalind Chow, who plays Keiko, on there. And we were like, if we can get Rosalind Chow to say some stuff about the Keiko being a villain, then we can make it canon. You know, we can make it like beta canon.
Well, I can make it prime alpha. Like... give me a day and I can work it into memory alpha. I could say, like, you know, in the trivia section of Keiko O'Brien, Rosalind Chow, during an interview in 2023, stated that Keiko was a divine entity hell-bent on destroying all life in the known galaxy. And I'd be like, yes.
We can do it. We can make it.
Source, trust me, bro, this video. But no, it's it is they are studying an ancient civilization called a Kirchhoff who mysteriously vanished from a moon in the Vulcan sector. The Enterprise is travelling at sublight, so everyone's got a little bit of downtime to enjoy the view. And Nurse Chapel is using this time to prep for an interview for a fellowship that she wants to do at the Vulcan Science Academy. Now, this was mentioned in the first episode where there was a 2-month fellowship coming up and she wanted to apply for it. Deep down, we all know why, because she just wanted to be away from Spock, because the girl's got feelings for our favourite little Vulcan.
And Spock's got ass.
I mean, does he need a commercial driving license for that dumb truck of an ass that he's got? But, sorry. It's one of those days.
Spock's got booty. That needs to be merch. Okay.
Beam me up, booty. Beam me up, botty. That's going to be a t-shirt.
Beam me up, botty. There we go.
That's going to be a t-shirt. So she is prepping for this interview. We do get a lovely montage where Chapel is training with her crewmates. She's training with Umbenga. She's training with Uhura and Ortegas. And then they turn around and say, well, why aren't you training with the one person who would help you the most? And it's like, this is totes awkward.
Well, that's it. I like the way she dismisses it. She's like, oh, well, reasons. You know, like, I forgot what she says, but it is just, she's just like, oh, well, yeah, no. But I love this little montage. Like, this episode has some amazing little montages in that are really fun and really quirky, and you really like seeing the characters in them. But it's that idea of realizing that she is totally avoiding Spock. And they get in the lift. Yeah. Spock comes in and just doesn't say anything to her, and she doesn't say anything to him, and you can see Mbenga, who's in the lift as well, just being like, what the hell is this? You know,
Omega's like, I can sense it.
Yeah. It's his face, like, after Spock gets out of the lift, Mbenga's face is just like, he's just like, what?
Someone's thirsty and it's not me. So we then move on to Spock's personal log, and he's learning to cook. And now there was a great little shout out to Star Trek Enterprise in this little scene, because Chris, I'm calling him first now, Captain Pike is asking Spock to smell some leaves, and Spock says that with his nasal suppressant he won't be able to smell it, and Pike's taken aback. This is a great shout out to the first episode ever of Star Trek Enterprise, where T'Pol boards the Enterprise and can smell Porthos. And
well, she says that she can smell everyone.
Yes.
But she doesn't use suppressants. She's just used to it. Like, she's been on Earth for so long that she's used to the stench that humans give out.
Yeah.
Whereas Spock is using nasal suppressants to be like, you know, to actually cover it up rather than getting used to it like she did.
Yeah, because it's introduced that the Vulcans that are based on Earth, because they've got heightened sense of smell, they can smell humans, and it's a displeasure to them. It's overwhelming to them. So most Vulcans serving on starships or wherever on Earth use nasal suppressants, and this is a great little callback to that, because it's a very small fact that even I forgot. So I like the fact that it was included in that.
Well, I think it's, you know, the Trek the Trek tends to, you know, like, treat Enterprise like the bastard child of the bunch, and it tends not to sort of pay much attention to the lore from it. Yes. So it's always good getting little sort of, hey, it's still part of the family, it's still part of it, which is exactly what this does, you know, like with little nods to this and stuff.
I think this season, above all else, is more intertwined with Star Trek Enterprise than we give it credit for, because we have seen a lot of background images of the NX-01. We've seen a few callbacks to that era as well.
It's the most related. It's like this is only a couple of years after Enterprise. It's close to the next gen, basically.
It's 100 years. Yeah, it's 100 years. Yeah. But it's so. He's trying to learn to cook with Pike. He's socialising with his friends, and while his friends are laughing, he's just absolutely stoic, as Spock always is.
Brilliant. That bit where it just pans around and everyone's in hysterical laughter, and he's just like, fascinating. You know?
Yeah, he's like, I am content. And it's like, yes, of course you are. But he's also, this is the first time as well this season, we see Sam Kirk.
Yeah, like, one of my criticisms of Strange New Worlds is I don't know why he's there. Like,
Yes.
they do nothing with him. He
No.
literally he's there as a kind of, oh, so we could mention him when we had the Kirk episode with Lan and Kirk, but he doesn't do anything. He doesn't really interact with the rest of the crew. Like, even if he was just involved in bar scenes or whatever, or when they're hanging out, like with the laughter thing, but he's not, and it's a weird dynamic, and it's really frustrating to me because he's incredibly hot, except for that mustache, and it's just that thing. It's just going. Take the caterpillar off your face. I know I've got one, but with him, it's a spoiler.
His primary function is the moustache. That is his primary function.
That's why he's not getting invited to those parties, though. That's why he's not sitting there be laughing with the girls.
But it could be worse. It could be like the original series where they just use Shatner with a moustache. We could just have Paul Wesley with a moustache.
Yeah, okay.
And I love saying the word moustache. So,
moustache.
So, in his quarters, Spock is talking to Pring. I love the fact they're introducing the original series monitors in this season as well, where they're just teeny little boxes when you can't see anything. And they're on about their upcoming meeting. And T'Pring says that her mother is still opposed to the union because the very first episode of Strange New Worlds, T'Pring proposes to Spock. So they are engaged to be married. Now he's in the Vulcan sector. They need to discuss their union, what they are going to do. T'Pril, who is T'Pring's mother, is opposed to it and states that they must go through an agent engagement ceremony to prove that Spock is suitable to marry her daughter. So
I love how much this episode focuses on like Vulcan culture and just how obviously it doesn't happen till later in the episode, but when we get to Pring appear, I love her. I've fallen in love with this character so much. Yeah. we've got Elon Musk in the chat. Another person saying I look like Hitler with my mustache.
Oh dear. And much like
it never gets old. But yeah, but that's it. Adams pointed out that there's no Pelia again this week, and obviously we'll get to it. She does get a mention, but it is a bit like okay,
And much like Elon Musk on Threads, he's no longer there. So yeah, so
that was a genuine account. You just blocked Elon Musk.
Good.
Elon Musk put that many commas in a name.
Good. So the next scene is Spock being distracted with Pike because they're trying to organise this away mission, because over this moon where the Kirchhoff civilization once was, there is an unknown anomaly forming or detected, and they need to organise a shuttle mission to find out what this anomaly is and why it's appeared, what's going on. Spock is naturally distracted because of everything that's going on, and he says, he explains that this ceremony needs to be undertaken, and he's like, as you humans say, it is a big deal. I'm like, okay. And Pike basically said that there was a change to the roster of the shuttle crew, and then we find out in the next scene that it's actually Chapel and Spock in the shuttle alone. Totes awkward, a lot of awkward conversations, and then Spock starts talking about the Kirkovians and why Chapel is there. And she is there because obviously the Kirkonians were an ancient civilization, but they were apparently advanced in the medicinal field. And their technology and their knowledge was far more robust and far more advanced than what they have got at present day. She then tries to take the elephant in the room, speak with the elephant in the room.
He's not that ugly.
Wow. And then she's asking no. She's asking why has he been avoided her, and he's like, Spock being Spock, he's like, oh, I don't know. And then the shuttle suddenly comes into scanner range. They find that the anomaly is a stable vortex, which is a rupture in space-time. They get caught in the gravitational pull, and they are being pulled in. We see that shit starts to go south rapidly. They are looking at each other. Chapel says Spock, and it fades to white. So we're like, what's happened? Next thing, there's a camera facing upwards, and you see Pike, Chapel, and Umbenga looking down. So you're like, okay, turns out that it's Spock. oh well, Spock, there's been an accident. Chapel was fine, but and like they're alluding to it. And the final reveal of the scene is he's got normal ears. He is a whoreman. He is a whoreman. And the first thing he says is, "What the?" And I love that.
Now, it's one of these things. This is what Strange New Worlds does well, where it does stuff that's not really Trek, would usually piss you off, but it does it in such a charismatic and such a funny way that you're like, I will forgive that. Like the idea of, like, you know, Spock saying what the fuck or whatever. In the context of this scene, he's just become human, and it's a really funny little way to end. I had problems with this. I actually made notes saying, oh, I didn't like this whole thing. But then later it explains it and you go, oh, because I was like, how is he hurt and she's fine? Like, he is a Vulcan. He is far more resilient. We've just seen, like, how, I mean, we go into it later, like, they've got better hearing, they've got better eyesight, they've got better smell, they've got better sort of, like, strength and resistance to pain. And I'm like, oh, so how on earth is he the one that's hurt? Oh, this is just a silly plot device to make this happen. And that's what, you know, and that was my thoughts happening here. And then later on, the episode kind of
it explains it.
No, and it doesn't do it perfectly, but it does make you go, okay, you know, fair cop. But
yeah, because the next scene is Una and La'an in the shuttle, and they're trying to find out, because we get a little bit of exposition where they say the shuttle was in a crash, but it seems like the shuttle has been completely fixed and deep cleaned. And I'm like, oh, I love a deep clean.
That's what happens. Like, that's what would happen if you drove into my mum's house with it. She would literally, she'd fix your car, she'd make you tea, and then she'd clean it for you.
That's me. That's me. Like, oh, deep cleaning. Oh, yes.
My mum is amazing. My mum is amazing because the other day I came round and then just randomly found, like, all of the underwear that are taken out of, like, the what is it, the dryer, and it was all just folded. All of the socks were folded and all the underwear's folded. I'm like, they don't need to be folded, but they just
your
are,
socks
because purely, I know I don't. I just sort of, you know, time together and chuck them in a drawer.
Yeah.
But then, like, yeah, Mum had folded them all, and then folded all the underwear and stuff, and I was just like going, "This is totally unnecessary, but such a mum thing to do."
That's incredible.
So that's effectively what happened to this shuttle here.
Having folded socks, guys, can you imagine? That's amazing. What the? Who's just joined the chat?
It's the same troll again. It's amazing.
I like
Bonjour,
that.
science officer, whatever second name. Possibly sound like Gittler. It is.
Au revoir.
Change the name now. Science officer Gittler.
Au revoir.
Change the graphics.
Never. I like that. That's good.
Oh, you can get rid of them, man. I love the idea of it just being like, hello, trolls.
Community standards. Yeah. So, so they're scanning the shuttle and they want to find out, like, if they've been in an accident and the shuttle crashed, why is it being put back together? Why is it being fixed? Why is it deep cleaned? And why were they unharmed, except for Spock, who is now suddenly human? They find a weird device on a seat. They take it to Uhura, who confirms that it's sort of a calling card.
This scene is so good because, like, it points out how good Uhura is, and like literally, she notices immediately, hey, I've got all this. Oh, it looks like a calling card. Like, it's giving us subspace coordinates for where we would, like, send a message in order to speak to them.
Yeah.
And then she manages to send the message, and you can see that, like, Una and Pike are visibly impressed by it. They're just like, whoa, okay, you know, you managed to work all that out, like, so quickly. And I love that it's made, this series has done Uhura justice, because obviously it's taken characters like Spock and Uhura and Chapel, who are, like, very ingrained in the lore, and it's doing them justice. You're not kind of walking away being like, oh, I hate what they've done to Uhura, and oh, I hate what they've done with Pike, kind of thing. It's really good that they've
The thing I will say about Strange New Worlds, you care about this crew, and then the ones that you are already aware of, like Uhura and Pike, you care like you care more for them. Yeah. And they don't tarnish their legacy; they sort of enhance it and fill it out a little bit more. which is it's really not, and everyone's laughing that I'm
Yeah.
fast as anything on the kick button. Yes, I do.
I'm the
guys.
one being called Gitler, and yet you're the one who's just like kick the boogers out.
Yes, straight through the airlock. So
you're the dictatorship here.
So they call. They use the calling card to contact whoever it was, and it's actually the Cacovians, and it's like hello, and I love that. It's just like the first contact, hello, and Pike's just like hi.
You called me.
Who's this? I'm yellow. He's like, so am
I
I.
love it. It's like I love though. I made a note where it says like I am yellow of Kirkov, and it reminded me of Deep Space Nine, where you have like, oh, I am of Bejor, where that's how they refer to themselves of being from a particular planet. And because Kirkov is now not a planet because they've ascended and gone somewhere else, seemingly, they are now referring to themselves of Kirkov, as in at some point they came of that.
Yes.
And I just love this whole segment, because if anyone has ever tried to cancel their Virgin Media contract, you will have a conversation very much like this, where you try to speak to a human, you can't speak to a human, you have to click around the website everywhere, you have to do a live chat until you get to the point where the live chat can't help you, but they said they could, and then you have to phone a number and then go through all of the press 1 for this, press 2 for this. Do you need this really unlikely option? Let us talk about it for 5 minutes. Okay, if not, press 3. You know, and that is exactly how they've done this communication. Like how you communicate with this race is like speaking to an automated phone line.
He's doing this guy's doing really well, and guess what? Bye. So,
oh, damn it.
Yeah.
I'll stop acknowledging them. I know that we shouldn't acknowledge trolls, but it makes me laugh.
For our American viewers, Virgin Media is like the...
Were you going to explain who Hitler was?
Yes. No.
Okay, it's a bit of a big guy in Europe.
I know the education system is a bit ropey, but I think I know who they are. For our American viewers, Virgin Media is like the AT&T, where it's like, you want to cancel, but you can't. And I also have a little story about that. I moved house 3 years ago to a new build, and I had Virgin Media, but where I moved to, I could no longer have it because the developer, in a mad rush to complete the area, tarmacked over the pit. So they were like, you cannot have Virgin Media because we would have to make a massive hole in the road. I was like, okay. So I phoned to cancel it, and they were like, well, you can't cancel it. I was like, but I'm not getting the service because it is not possible for me to get it. And they were like, well, how do we know? And I was like, try it. Yeah. Here is the postal code. Here is it. Da 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 da. Oh yes, it's not possible. See, but you can't cancel. But I cannot use your service. Yes, but you can't cancel. What do you want me to do? Continue to pay for the service. Long story short, I got a man from Virgin, a surveyor, to drive up from the south to my home.
Hold on, can we change your name to Captain Karen here?
Captain Karen, yes. He drove all the way up from the south to look at the floor where the pit is, to confirm that there is actually a road, and to confirm to Virgin that it is not possible to connect these homes to Virgin Media. This took a month to do this. I was like, I sent photos, I sent proof of the developments, and they were like, but we can't cancel. It was like talking to Hal. Like, what are you doing, Dave? Trying to
thing, and this is the problem. Where obviously we're not talking about Star Trek here, but hopefully the chat can like empathize with this. But it's the fact of, because we've made it so companies, for security purposes, no one has access to all of the data, so they can't just download everyone's account data and use it. It means that nobody has access to any of the stuff they need. So it basically means that you just get all these people where you speak to them and they're like, I can't do anything, I can't see this, I can't do this, I can't do anything about any of this, I have to escalate it to someone else, but then they can't see all of the other stuff, and you're just going, I'm great that it's great that we've compartmentalized everything so that nobody can do their jobs.
This is me
But then you just
all
end up with
day.
that guy. The one guy who can probably cancel your account probably doesn't have access to any of the things that say that your account needs to be cancelled, or that they can't get broadband.
This is me
It's
every
so
day.
dumb.
Every day.
Hey,
This
Weeping
is me.
Rose, welcome to the chat. Hey,
Oh,
Donna.
Donna! Don't make me block you.
I
I'm
love
on a
what Christopher
rampage.
said. Schrodinger's broadband.
Schrodinger's broadband. Yes, it's there, but it's not. So anyway, back to Strange New Worlds. Good God, what a tangent that was on. Look at these two handsome fellas. Where?
Oh my God! Oh, if I wasn't so cold and dead, I'd blush. If my skin could still have warmth.
Sensors detecting thirst. So, hi Donna.
Thirsty girl.
Hi. Yeah. So, Pike is speaking. I'm good, right? Ironic that we have just talked about Virgin Media. I'm going to address the Kirkovians going forward as the complaints advisors who have transcended, because we get a lot of that.
I think Virgin Media. Can we just call them Virgin?
The Virgin Medias.
Chappelle goes to Chapel goes to speak to Virgin Media, because that's basically what happens.
So Pike is speaking to Virgin
at
Media.
the end where she's like, "Here's my achievements. I managed to negotiate with Virgin Media," and they're like, "Oh God, we've really missed a trick here."
So Pike is speaking to Virgin Media, who basically says that, yes, the shuttle entered our call centre, there was an accident, and they have rectified the accident, and there is no longer any further contact required. The complaint has been resolved. And Pike's going, well, hold on, no, my office has been damaged. And they're like, but there was two, they were different. One had a different set of instructions, so we've made it that they are both the same, and they both have the same instructions. There is no further call needed. Have a nice day.
Yeah, that's it. So basically, and they argue it where, they're going, hey, okay, so one of your people was different to the other one, so we've made them both the same. So we basically made Spock and stopped him being half Vulcan and made him human.
They amended this contract. Yes, they amended the contract where the phone line and the broadband...
started a new one.
Well, the phone line and broadband were different. However, they've made it sure that the phone line and broadband are now charged at the same price, which is not what you agreed for originally, but now it's done and there's no further action taken. Goodbye.
But that's it, and they keep trying to end the call. And then he's like, no, it's not resolved. And they're like, oh, are they both alive? And he's like, well, yes. And they're like, okay, fine, goodbye, and just hang up on him.
Does your router have lights on? Yes. Well, no further action is needed.
That's it. It's like, oh, are you still on the internet? Okay, fine, it's working.
Yes, but it's not fast enough.
Uhura tries to speak to them and get them back on the line, and it's not working. The actual credentials aren't working. I think the subspace location's not working anymore, and she's like...
She failed ID and V. She failed ID and V, and she can no longer get connected to the call centre because it is closed for the day. Back in sickbay, they are asking Spock how he feels, and he feels emotions. He feels angry, he feels grateful, he feels hungry.
This scene is very interesting, okay, because it's very because
it's very data.
I'm very it's very data-esque, but it's the fact of Spock is I didn't like it in a way because Spock is so outward with his emotions. He's very they're very exaggerated. That's the word I need. Yeah. They're so exaggerated, but then you notice over this whole scene he goes through the full gamut of human emotions in one scene, and it's just him and Pike talking. And it's really clever. It's really good that he does it. And then and he's so emotional, and he's he just moves between all the different emotions. It's great.
Yeah, and then Pike makes him realize that you do realize you've got an engagement ceremony to go to, and he's like, holy shit, that slipped my mind.
Yeah, and he's like, this cannot happen.
He's like, my fiance's mother hates me. And he doesn't know what to do, and he starts to get really angry. And Pike's just chill.
This is the bit. When I said that I was mixed about this episode, this was one of the bits where I was mixed about it, because I was like, hang on, we've already had a Spock episode that was, oh, aren't Vulcans funny? Oh, isn't it going to be awkward when his wife arrives, and the relationship with his wife? And it feels a bit too soon to be doing exactly the
Yeah,
same plot line, which is
Spock and Mock was
something
fairly
outside of the
close.
fit. Something
Yeah.
outside has happened that's affecting this otherwise manageable situation with Spock. And it felt a bit like, couldn't you have saved this for season 3? But I know that they couldn't because they need the whole thing between him and Chapel happening now.
Yes.
But it feels like this could have been later, you know. But
yes.
yeah.
I will say, guys, just a quick tangent. I do apologize if you can't see my eyes. I have got new glasses, and holy shit, they are reflective. So I keep turning into the Mysterons for some reason from Captain Scarlet.
Where's your ring light? We can just see
it
your
is.
ring light.
I need a diffuser light. I do need a diffuser.
This is the voice of the Mysterons.
We know that you can hear us, Virgin Media.
Get a proper job.
Yeah. Coming over
Discovery
here.
is brilliant.
Coming over here with your rovers sampling our rocks. I
love that people aren't going to know what like Captain Scarlet
What's
is.
Captain Scarlet?
Like,
it's like
Stingray,
but without the eyebrows.
And now we're back to the hood.
What's
Now we're
Stingray?
back to Thunderbirds in the hood.
What's Stingray? It's like Thunderbirds without Elon Musk. So
Underwater.
Moister.
Yeah. Thunderbirds, but moister.
Ooh, that should have been a tagline, shouldn't it? Jerry Anderson's Stingray, like Thunderbirds, but more moist. So anyway, we do get a second montage. But this time a contrast to the original one with Spock, where it's Spock hijinks, as I've called it, where he's with his friends again, and this time he's laughing. And then he's cooking with Pike, and he's like, what is that delightful smell? And Pike's like, it's bacon. And I'm like, yes, boy! And like, I'm here. That bacon looked lush. Not going to lie. That was Canadian bacon.
It looked really good.
It was Canadian bacon, and I could smell it through my TV.
Damon, can you confirm that it was Canadian bacon?
Yes, was that Canadian bacon, Damon? I need to know.
The bacon that they could get in the wild.
Holy shit, Damon!
They just pull bacon off trees over in Canada, don't they?
Oh,
they get to a tree and they're like, they open it up and they get maple syrup out, or they can get bacon, and then that's why they mix them together.
Did you know, Synoiz?
I'm a strange man.
Do you know our friend and colleague Nerdy Jesus, Jake? He'd never been to Tim Hortons before until a couple of weeks ago.
No. I have never been to Tim Hortons before.
What?
I've never even heard of it until like, when was it? It was like a week ago. It was a week ago. It was like last Wednesday. I met a friend who I haven't seen in bloody ages, and he took me to like the Tim Hortons that's near Washington.
That's what we went to.
I had little donuts, and I had like what did they do? They did like a burger thing, and they had like little donuts, and they got like a milkshake. It was really nice. Nowhere near here though. So.
We went to see Indiana Jones 5. And me and Jake met up and we went to Tim Hortons, and it was his first time. I got the... Oh, God, this is such a tangent. Tim Hortons, sponsor us. I got the sausage and egg.
Are we going to get through this episode? We've been on for like 40 minutes.
No, we're fine.
I'm literally like a quarter of the way through the episode.
It's fine. I'm
sorry, everyone watching.
No.
This is a long...
No, this is important and you need to know. I got the sausage and egg McMuffin. Oh, I got the sausage and egg muffin.
Important.
Yes.
Followed by, I got the sausage and egg McMuffin.
A lovely coffee. But we didn't realise it was Canada Day. So we got free Timbits. Witnessing Jake devouring a Timbit and hearing angelic noise as he realised he had touched the face of God was beautiful. It was beautiful. So yes, Canadian bacon.
Just for our new watchers, this is a Trek podcast where we talk about Star Trek.
They filmed Star Trek in Canada. They filmed Star Trek in Canada. That's the link. We had a Toronto episode 2 episodes ago. We are fine. Okay? So...
I love how we just have it where we're like, are we the most professional Trek podcast? I think we found our niche now.
No, we are adequate.
We are the adequate.
We are the adequate podcast. You want something good? Go watch Shuttlepod.
Look what Christopher's saying in the chat. I miss puppets on TV, and I'm like, I just know the ones on the BBC. So, you know. And they're a little more wooden than the ones we got in Thunderbirds.
You wouldn't believe it. Anyway, back to the montage.
It's really good though, because we have it like there's loads of little payoffs in this episode.
Yes.
This is like a montage that calls back to the previous montage, and then we get another one later where it does stuff. But in this one, we basically have like at the beginning where we have Spock dealing with Kirk like leaving mess in the leaving loads of mess after he's been eating during a meeting. And then we basically get like Spock going crazy laughing with the girls, and they're but taking it so far that like they're like staring at him being like, okay, it wasn't that funny. But then basically it's just one of the best lines ever, which is that he literally interrupts the meeting and goes, Kirk, you need to tidy that up. Tidy your mess. And gets really angry at him. And then it just goes to something else. Then it comes back and it's got Spock being grabbed by people, being dragged out the room. And he's screaming, don't test me, Kirk! I will break you! And Kirk is literally just terrified in his seat. And it's the perfect, like, depiction of someone who just has no idea how to control their emotions.
I have watched this twice now. And this singular scene I have laughed out loud twice, where he's like, don't test me, Kirk, I will break you. But as a man,
this episode is so good for one-liners.
As a man, though,
great ones.
As a man who hates, and I mean this, like Paul and Sammy can verify this, how clean the inside of my car is. As a man who hates crumbs and stuff like that, I related to Spock on a deeply emotional level at this point, because I was like, don't you test me, Kirk, I will break. I was like, move the fucking crumbs. Because even when Spock wiped it at the beginning, I was like, there's still a stain on the table. I was just like, get rid of it. But yeah, after this, because we see that his impulses get the better of him, he feels sick from the bacon, he's got to kill Kirk, he's laughing too much with the girls. He has a meeting with La'an, and he's like, I'm experiencing all these feelings all at once, and I can't describe them.
See, I wondered, I was like, why is he talking to La'an? Like, why is he talking to La'an? She's not the counselor. And then I'm like, it's because he's been arrested.
He's been arrested. He's been nicked for nearly killing Kirk.
So he's literally been dragged off, arrested by like La'an, taken to security, and then it's basically got to the point where she's like, okay, so you need to control yourself a bit more. Yeah. And that just made it funnier that it's like the security chief is the one calming you down.
But he's like, because she's like, you're experiencing what it's like to be a human teenager, and he's like, I'm hungry and I'm sad and I've got other strange urges, and I'm like, you're horny.
Yeah, and Lance just looks at him and just goes, okay. Just pats him on the shoulder and goes like,
hello, HR. Inappropriate.
Yeah, this is the humor that Strange New World does very well. And I think it's really, really good in this.
Yeah, but
after this, is the scene after this the
interview? Sick bay. No, it's just before the interview. It's in sick bay where Chapel's exhausted. She's been working all night on trying to find a cure for Spock, and then Umbenga reminds her that it's the interview with the Vulcan Science Academy, which was the quickest. But it was the quickest job interview I have ever seen. I wish all job interviews were like that.
I just wrote down, this interview is brutal.
My God.
Well, you know, we talk about like Vulcans and Romulans being very, very logical and straight to the point. But this is the epitome of them being like, hey, we got your CV, we looked over it, we're disappointed, goodbye. You know, and it's literally just like, imagine if job interviews worked like that.
Just a quick aside, I've just noticed in the chat that apparently there is a secret Discord challenge in which someone has to eat a digestive in Goodwill's car. Right.
I have not heard of this. But
I am going to say this now, and this will be the first and only time we say this. If you value your life, you will not undertake this challenge. Anyway, back to the show.
In other news, I have a cash reward for anyone who magically manages to achieve this challenge.
Back to the show.
It's like licking you at conventions. It's
Don't
just
lick
like,
me. Don't lick me. Even if I'm in America and you see me, don't lick
what
me.
if you covered in syrup? What if it could save your life? Before the bees come. You're in Canada. You're covered in maple syrup. The bees are coming. What do I do, Goodwill?
Back to the show. The brutal interview. It was a brutal interview. I've got to admit, it was a very brutal interview.
I mean, she was on the back foot anyway because they're Vulcan, where they're basically going, humans aren't going to be as good as us. Like, and that's obviously kind of maybe even a call back to Enterprise with their attitude there.
Yes.
But it is literally like they go, hey, we looked at your stuff. Because what's happened is she hasn't taken their culture into consideration, where basically when she was like meant to be regurgitating information about medicine, she's changed the tone of it. She's rewritten it in her words like you would in an English thing, and you basically go, hey, I didn't want to just copy it. And they're like, the whole point is copying it. You have to do it word for word to show that you've learned it how it is written. And she's like, oh, and they're like, okay, well, we rejected your application. And then she points out, hey, rather than that, you should look into my actual field data and my actual experiments and what I've actually done, like a portfolio. And this is what got me into uni, because obviously I didn't do very well in my exams, but I had such a good portfolio that basically they looked at that and they were like, oh, actually, you're really good. You're just not academic. And that's kind of what she suggests here. And they go, okay, we'll review it and we'll get back to you. And then it kind of leaves it. But it's so brutal, this interview. After she got her hopes up. And after it's hung as a plot line for like 3 episodes now, I think. 5 episodes, actually.
This reminded me, timely, but this reminded me of my BBC interview.
That's British Broadcasting Company, right?
No, it isn't. But yes, it is, yes. It is brutal. It is very brutal. You have to go through I don't know. I didn't know why at the time. I now do. You have to go through a psychological exam. I now understand why. And if you fail it, there is no if, buts, or coconuts. Unlike Chapel, where she's like, check my portfolio.
Yeah.
You will just be rejected and banned for 12 months from applying.
It's crazy.
It is brutal. So this like interview, I was like, oh my God, because it brings back, you know, when you just have that most brutal interview and you just like, you've psyched up for it, you're going in, and then they pivot on you and they throw you such a curveball, it knocks you for 6, and you come out and you're dumbfounded. And she walks out and she's in the hallway, and Spock encounters her and he hugs her because he can feel that she's dumbfounded. And I love the fact that he just goes, Vulcans can be such jerks.
Yeah, I also like what she says, where he goes, are you okay? And she's like, I'm fine. I'll be fine. And it's the most... And it's just a lovely little bit of dialogue there, I thought.
Yeah. Christopher, I ain't reading that live on the video. But anyway... yeah.
It's not mentioned that.
But then we get a communication from Pike where it's ordering Spock to the transporter room, and Spock goes, on my way, is it an emergency? And he's like, I should say so. Your mother is coming. And he rocks up with a fucking beanie hat. Which is the wrong way round. Did you notice the comm badge was the wrong way round?
No, I didn't.
It was the wrong way. Oh, it was super annoying. I wanted him to turn up, and I don't know if any of you guys or you've seen it, Synoiz. The really shit 60s Star Trek toys where NBC, had a license for random toys, and then to sell them, they just slapped on Star Trek or a name from Star Trek, and there was a Spock helmet with a siren on it, and it just had Spock, Star Trek, and a siren on it. I really wanted him to turn up with a Spock helmet, because she goes, why are you wearing that hat? And he's like, it's regulation. And then I saw, but then there was memes of them actually wearing the Spock helmet. Like, someone's photoshopped the Spock helmet. And I was like,
I love how quick the community is.
oh yeah, but I kind of want a Star Trek beanie now. But yeah, so Spock's mother has turned up because the family, T'Pring's family, well, there's the mention of Pelia because Pelia is missing again for the second episode running.
Obviously, Adam was saying earlier, like it's a shame that she's not here, and I don't know, it's a bit annoying that like they kind of mention it and they put into the law like extra Pelia law that somehow Pelia is friends with Spock's mum, and you're like, okay, and then obviously like
they did before though, didn't they? Yeah.
What's Spock's mum's name? Amanda.
Yeah, it is Amanda.
Does she have a surname? I think she's just Amanda.
Grayson.
Is it Amanda Grayson? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so. Yes.
But yeah, like Amanda, like is just like, oh, she's probably off, sort of like stealing sort of famous artworks again, like referencing episode 3. And then obviously like Pike's just like, no, she's doing dilithium, but she did seem awfully excited to go and buy dilithium, and it's like, yep, she's gone on some kind of crazy mission.
Can you imagine the short treks we get with her if they ever did short treks with Pelia?
I quite like it. Like I like that they're adding all this lore to Pelia. I just hope it pays off. Like I'd be very annoyed if they did this much build up for Pelia, but then only had her in like 4 episodes and then she's not in season 3 or something. And I kind of dread that that's what it's going to be like there.
No, Christopher, I'm not reading that pun. You're not going to get this done. So basically, Amanda's on the Enterprise because T'Pring's family are not happy that they've had to postpone the ceremony and have been able to organise the Bashal dinner on the Enterprise for tomorrow evening. And if they don't do it, the wedding's off. And you can see Spock just losing his shit underneath that beanie hat. And then
he tries to hold it in, but then it just manifests as his face doing loads of random movements while he's trying to control his emotions, and he's like, it's muscle spasms, and his mum's just like, what?
Yeah, take off the hat.
Take off that hat. And then she's like, oh dear, because she sees that he doesn't have Vulcan ears anymore.
I love the fact he just goes, hi, Mum. And then he's panic eating in Pike's quarters. He's just eating the shrubbery.
Yeah, I love that basically. Like I liked it so much more, like his emotions here after you realize that he's literally acting like a teenager.
Yeah,
because he has like an argument with his mum, and he's proper sort of like stroppy with her and stuff, and it's like it's really fun. I think
I love though that in the subsequent scenes though that they highlight that yet again. There is bigotry present, and the bigotry is the Vulcans directing it towards humans, which was again featured in Star Trek Enterprise a hell of a lot, because there was very small amounts of bigotry in the original series with humans against Vulcans, and then Enterprise sort of did a polar opposite of that to basically say, well, hey, these Vulcans, they are very advanced and they are holding humanity back, and they see us as a lesser species. And then in the subsequent scene after the transporter, Amanda explains that T'Pring's family is very skittish about being aboard because of her. And it's another example of bigotry towards Vulcans. She feels, I took it away that they feel that humans are a lesser species. Bearing in mind it's been, at this point, 200 years since they made contact with the humans, and they still feel that they are a lesser species.
Well, this is the main thing. The main part of the first, like, 2-parter of Star Trek Enterprise is pointing out the fact that, like, basically the Vulcans just stopped us going into space, like, using warp drive for, like, 70 years. They literally just thought of every reason possible to be like, hey, no, you can't go into space. You're not ready yet. You've got to prepare this and stuff like that. And then as soon as something went wrong, they were like, okay, we're proven right. You can't go back into space again. And obviously they just end up ignoring them, and then Enterprise happens as the show. But it's that idea of the Vulcans are always, you wonder if they're like this with other races. We witness this a lot with Vulcans and humans, but we wonder if maybe they're just so superior in their way that they're basically just going, no, everyone's lesser than us, so everyone needs to do things our way. You get that by this episode.
There was an explanation in Star Trek Enterprise. I mean, if no one's ever watched Star Trek Enterprise, I know some of you, like Christopher and Peaches and stuff, are watching through Star Trek. Star Trek Enterprise, much like DS9, is getting a second win second wind on streaming services at the moment, and people are actually realizing it's not as bad as people thought.
Yeah.
And
it's really good. Well, this is the thing, though. The fact that we're polar opposites, where I love seasons 1 and 2, and I don't like seasons 3 and 4, and yet most people really like seasons 3 and 4.
Yeah.
So essentially, what we're saying is it has really good seasons. Like, there's stuff that you can absolutely love about it, and
But it shows. I mean, they explained in Enterprise that the Vulcans see so much of themselves within humanity that they actively restrict how much humans can develop warp drive, how they can explore, because they are terrified of what humans can do, because they see the violent side of humans, which is what the Vulcans were before the Great Awakening 2,000 years ago. And Enterprise really delves into Vulcan culture and those prejudices that they have against humanity. And season 4, they really do wrap it up in season 4, which was Manny Koto's run. Rest in peace, Manny Koto. Because he sadly passed away this week from pancreatic cancer. Fuck cancer, by the way. Too young, way too young. But they really explored that it's, those prejudices are unfounded, and that a species wouldn't necessarily develop the same way that the Vulcans did, and that humanity has a great capacity to learn.
It's a very good metaphor for how we have in society, where everyone judges other people by themselves. Like, you get crazy stuff where you get where you get people online who are just like, oh well, if I had the ability to do this, I'd do it all the time. So if it wasn't illegal to murder, I'd kill everyone. And you're just going like, that's not normal, mate. You can't assume that behavior of other people. That's just you possibly being a psychopath. But then we do that, and then as we see in this episode, the Vulcans have super strength. They have all of their emotions are way more powerful and hit way hard than human emotions. And Spock realizes this after having the emotions in the episode. And because their emotions are so strong, they're far more dangerous.
Yeah.
But then they're applying that to us. They're applying that to humans and being like, oh, well, if our situation is like this, then you must be restricted. And it's that idea of just being like, look, you have to judge everyone in their own context. Like, you can't just assume that if you're going to do a bad thing, then other people are going to do a bad thing, or vice versa.
But I mean, like I said, I highly recommend Enterprise because it's a great exploration of that. And Strange New Worlds is sort of taking the mantle. And, well, Connor Trinier, need we say more. And they are expanding that in Strange New Worlds, which I think is really refreshing, because Enterprise deserved more seasons than it got. And this is sort of... There's a lot of Enterprise references in it, and I am very excited to see why they're doing it and what's going to happen going forward. But back to this scene. Spock's mother offers, because he doesn't know how they're going to pull off this engagement ceremony, because he's human. He doesn't know what he's going to do. He can't control his emotions. So Spock's mother says, well, you spent your entire life learning how to be a Vulcan. Now I'm going to teach you with the help of Christopher Pike. Do I have a choice? No, you don't. Get in there, Amanda.
It is like, literally, I love the Pike's just like, oh, can I get out of this? And she's like, no.
No. And she's like, I'm going to teach you how to be human. I'm going to teach you how to lie. And then we get another montage where Umbenga's like...
Need a montage.
Yeah. Umbenga's like, we can't genetically manipulate your ears because of Chapel's experiments. However, we've come up with these prosthetic ears. And he's just like, thank you, CBS Paramount. And it's just like the very same ones that he's got. And then Amanda's...
blended worse.
Well, Amanda, like... Then Amanda's like, you have to make the family's tea and you have to serve it. And she's like, part of the service is picking up the family's teapot. And he's like, this is scalding. And she's like, part of being human, it's like you have to control your emotions. And he's like,
Vulcans have stronger pain,
pain threshold,
better at controlling pain.
Yeah.
So basically, like, a Vulcan can pick up a boiling teapot and just be like, okay, this is fine. But a human can't. And then she does it. And wonderfully acted, because you can see on her face that it's agony, but then she's hiding it behind a smile. And she literally picks up a boiling teapot, calmly pours the tea, and then just puts it down again and doesn't complain. And you're just like, you must be hurting like fucker.
I love the fact she says, part of living on Vulcan is learning to suppress your emotions and your feelings. I was like, I love... I love the actress who's playing Amanda. I think she's portraying Amanda brilliantly.
She's a wonderful mum character. Like,
Yes.
have we ever seen Spock's mum?
In the original series, yes, we did.
Do you?
And
in the original
and
series, I
in
can't
The
remember
Voyage
if it's
Home.
a different person. Because I know you see Sarek a lot, but I can't tell because he's got multiple wives, doesn't he?
No, he remarries. So in the original series,
yeah.
you see Amanda. In The Voyage Home, it's a different actress, I believe, who plays Amanda in A Voyage Home, the one with the whales. And then in The Next Generation, obviously Amanda has sadly passed away because The Next Generation is like 100 years after. And Sarek has remarried.
I love how I never thought about that.
Yeah, but Sarek, as we are quickly learning, is a bit of a slut when it comes to bedding all the women of the galaxy, because how many children has he had now? So she teaches him how to pick up the teapot, and then the crew's helping Spock talk like a Vulcan, which I thought was quite funny.
This is my favourite scene of the whole
Oh, is
episode.
it? Go on.
Is it? It literally where you literally have all of the girls like Una, Uhura, Ortega, Lan, basically showing Spock how to talk like Spock, and they're all the actresses are all just putting on their lowest, most sort of boring voices, and it's class. And then what does Ortega say? She says something like, "Notice how I move my eyebrow, but no other muscles in my face."
And Anne's just like,
yeah, and it's just, and Spock's just literally sitting there being like, "You're taking the piss."
yeah. But then
it's so good.
They explained that there was another ritual where essentially the parents of the person you want to get married, it just sits and bitches at you and slags you off, which today I sort of had.
Ceremony.
Yeah, I sort of had that today for 2 hours, so I'm like, yeah. Anyway, moving on. But then they said the final ritual is that there was a mind meld between mother and child, where they share a fond memory. And Spock can't pull it off. And then Amanda's like, we can't do this. We cannot do this.
It's the fact of she's okay faking it
But
and
he
like pretending
can't.
like they're doing a mind meld, but he can't convincingly look like he's doing a mind meld because he's so used to just being able to do it. And this is where she just goes, yeah, we're not going to pull this off. We're going to fail at this.
But then Chapel, back in sickbay, is still struggling, and then she realises that there is 24 hours left to change Spock's genome before it fully adapts to being human, and they can't revert it back. And Mbenga comes in, he's like, well, you're using Federation standard therapies and experiments. And then Chapel goes, well, we can't do it, but we know someone who can. Goes to
Virgin Media.
Goes to the new mess hall. This is a new mess hall bar, by the way, that they've developed for season 2. This whole area, and Uhura and Ortegas are having what is the most delicious looking food I have seen this week so far. The hamburger that Ortegas has, I would demolish in about 3 bites, and that turkey Swiss that Uhura is having.
Is that what it is?
It was a turkey swish on what looked like a ciabatta, and I'm like, I want you so much. And I was like, it looked lush. Non-Americans, sorry, lush.
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 That means proper belter.
Proper belter. Banging.
Purely belter. There we go.
Banging.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It
looks
the same
mint.
as class. Yeah, mint.
Nectar. So
I love what we're doing here.
Proper boss.
Yeah. I will say though that she basically comes over and she's like, "Hey, we can't tell Pike. This has to be off the books. You need to pilot me into this vortex in order to." Well, they're not planning to go into it. They're planning to get close to it.
Yeah.
In order to send another message to them saying, "Hey, please help fix Spock because you fucked up." But I will say though, they agree to it, and then they come with her. But this is something that I noted down that freaked me out a little bit, is that basically they say, like, can we take these to go, referring to their food? Has that ever happened in Star Trek before?
No.
Because one of the things that I've always liked about Star Trek is because all the food is replicated 90% of the time, what they do is they just abandon their food. You get all the time in Voyager, you get, well, that's because Neelix made it, but in Next Generation, you get all the time because they know that they can be halfway through a meal, they can just leave it there because it all gets put in the waste bin, and then they can just get the exact same meal made again. But then here they're saying, oh, actually, can we just, rather than getting to the shuttle and using the replicator on that to just make a burger again?
There is an explanation. By this time, replicators weren't invented.
I thought we still had food replicators.
What they were protein resequencers like we had in Enterprise.
Yeah.
So they could make it, but there is still a mess hall. There is still a galley, as they have on ships.
Right. I didn't realize. I thought it was the same as in original series, where obviously the replicators didn't look like replicators. They just made all the food appear.
They were again. Although they were, I don't think they were ever called replicators. They were. I mean, they never called them protein resequencers, but they were like, oh, this takes matter and turns it into food, and then you can put this card in and say chicken sandwich.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think they're following on with the trend that replicators aren't there. They can make stuff out of thing, but I think they've still got a galley. But to take food to go, obviously a shuttlecraft at that era wouldn't have a replicator or anything like that. So they're like,
that's a good point.
Let's just get Just Eat and hop onto the Galileo and off we pop.
I just liked it. I just noted it down as a little thing.
But then we get to the transporter room scene where they're about to meet T'Pring's family. T'Pring beams aboard. Now I'm going to say,
the foreshadowing on T'Pring is wonderful. Sorry, the foreshadowing on T'Prill,
yeah,
which is T'Pring's mum. That's very confusing. But yeah, they're going to get T'Pring ahead of her mum appearing. And it's so wonderful to see her.
I'm going to say this now.
She's becoming one of my favorite characters.
I'm going to say this now, and this may be controversial. T'Pring is my least favorite character.
Really? Do you not like her?
Because of who she becomes in the original series. Oh, want to know what that is? Watch the original series.
I can't remember.
Oh, yeah. So...
Does she become Keiko O'Brien?
No one could become Keiko O'Brien but Keiko O'Brien, the greatest villain in Star Trek history. Yes. Where's Miles? #free Miles. So T'Pring beams aboard, and like Spock's got this whole speech, T'Pring, forever separated but never, and she's just like, shut your fucking face. I've had enough of the last 2 days of formalities. I just want to go.
It is so wonderfully acted, though, that basically, she is a Vulcan. She is a pureblood Vulcan.
Yeah.
She is so she controls her emotions. She doesn't show emotions, but then she does a very good job of being like, no more ceremonies. I'm quite sick of ceremonies, and does it in this wonderful deadpan, but still also a bit, it's just wonderfully acted. And I just like that she's got this wonderful personality, even though she's a Vulcan, And it reminds me of Tuvok, where it manages to do that wonderful balance of here's what the character should be like, and yet this is like them bending it a bit.
But they walk out, and Amanda's like, well, I'll take care of the parents. You just go. And then, obviously, we have the corridor scene where Spock wants to tell her, but she is so transfixed that I need this to go right. I need this to go right. Otherwise, everything will be called off. We will not be able to get married. So you can tell Spock wants to tell her, but decides to hold off T'Pring's benefit, which is, I can see the justification in that. And everyone else.
The fact is, she's not allowed to lie, and also if she starts panicking about it, because the fact is, to us, we wouldn't be able to know, like we had in the wonderful scene between Spock and the Hood in episode 2, where it's the fact
Patak the Patak.
Yeah, just because we can't see that there's tension there doesn't mean there isn't. So it's the fact of basically if he told T'Pring that she might have been actually not outwardly but panicking, and her mum would have picked up on it. And because obviously just going, hey, this is the most important thing we're ever going to do, or our relationship is buggered. Oh, and also you're insane at the moment, Yeah. Okay.
So the next scene, we are introduced to what I will say is the most hateful Vulcan we have ever encountered, T'Pring. walks into Pike's quarters. Pike's put out a spread. He's got his green on. He's looking dapper. The quaff is peak. He's put out a spread. She walks in.
10 out of 10 would sit on.
Oh, mount me. They walk in, and the first thing that they notice is the smell. And T'Pril's like, we all know what the smell is. And I'm like, you bitch.
Yeah.
However,
imagine coming into a room and having the fucking gall to not only insult the mother of your sort of son-in-law potentially, and also the captain of the ship you're on, by being like, this race stinks.
Yeah.
You know?
But then like Spock explains, because they don't know what the injuries are, and he explains, well, I've got extensive nerve damage and my eyebrows were singed. And they're like, oh yes, on closer inspection I can see they've been altered. But then Pike offers food. We get to witness the happiest Vulcan we have. So we've got the worst Vulcan with the happiest Vulcan, because Pike's like, would you like this? And he's like, oh, and he's having a whale of a time with that buffet, and she's like, no, the spirals are too complex, and they have been salted.
Yeah, Pike comes over with like some Vulcan dishes he's made, and then basically T'Pring's like, dad is just like, oh, these are amazing, I love these. And then T'Pril is like, but they are not done in the conventional way. And he's like, oh, well, I suppose. I love how much of a pushover he is.
Oh,
like, you can tell
whipped.
exactly and one of these things where these characters are personified so quickly. They've literally been on the screen for like 2 shots, and we know exactly what their dynamic is.
Yeah.
Because of this exchange. It's wonderful. And you know, throughout the episode, every time he likes something, T'Pril will be like, oh, but I don't like it. He's like, and then he'll change his mind. He'll U-turn on it because he's such a wimp. And it reminds me of like, you know, Richard from like Keeping Up Appearances.
I was literally about to say Hyacinth Bouquet and Richard. That's who I was going. Oh my god. I can't
There's a
believe.
British reference for everyone who's not in the UK.
I can't believe I literally written it down in my notes.
Have you?
Hyacinth and Richard. The Bouquet lady residents of the house.
This is just like one of her Moonlight Suppers. So basically, this whole episode is that Spock and T'Pring have to survive one of T'Pril's, candlelight suppers.
Do you think they have an Oslo in the family? With a clapped out Ford Granada just bombing around everywhere in his string vest.
The amount of siblings Spock has, there's probably an Oslo.
There is absolutely an Oslo. There's a Rose.
Sarek got busy.
Sarak's the Rose, I'm telling you. That's who he is. Oh, I can just imagine the Americans now going, keeping up appearances. Yeah. On the shuttle, though, because the three of them, Ortegas, Uhura, and Chapel are heading towards the anomaly. They're trying to communicate.
One that isn't Lan is in this scene.
They're trying to communicate with the Kakovians. They can't. They have to go closer. They still try. There is a dampening field in the way. They have to realise they have to fly in, and Ortegas does a little swirly-doo in the shuttle. It's just like straight through the hole, and I'm like, gan on, lass, straight through there like a polo. Back to the ceremony.
Because she is, what's her first name again? Emily
Ortegas.
No, Erica.
Erica
Her name
Ortegas.
is Erica Ortegas, and she flies the ship.
Nita from Spectrum Sanctorum says it in the most Puerto Rican way possible, and it is just, it is the way she's like, Erica Ortegas, and I'm like, oh, dearie me. Whew. That's
spicy Klingon dialect.
That's spicy Klingon Nita of the U.S.S. Caliente. Moving on, yes, back to the ceremony. Spock picks up the teapot. You can hear the singeing of his fingers and his reflexes. He's just like, "Argh." But does the tea, delivers the tea. T'Pring's like, slow the fuck down. You're going to ruin the tea leaves.
Yeah.
The tea is acceptable. And I'm like, ooh.
But that's it. He pours the tea. She drinks it. There's a long pause. And then she's like, the tea is acceptable. It's like the fucking cold stone bitch that she is.
Oh, she is. But then we're jutting back to the shuttle where they're both like they wake up in a mysterious place and like, am I dead? No, I'm not dead. And it is literally, guys, the Virgin Media call center. They have got into the office to speak with the manager. And the manager turns over, he's like, hello, I'm Blue. And he's like, oh, hi, we need to speak, you fixed our friend, but he wasn't fixed completely. And they're like, no complaint was lodged during the response period. This is highly irregular.
Whereas they haven't mentioned that there is a response period, which is also making me think about Virgin Media.
Yes, because they never tell you that there is a fucking response period.
Yeah.
Sorry. You didn't call within 72 hours. So yeah, it is irregular, and they're like, we need to speak to Yellow. So Blue disappears, back to the ceremony. The ritual bitching has begun. And Amanda's just like, you could visit more. And D'April's just like, really?
That's
it?
all you have to say?
That's all you've got? And then D'April, fuck it. She stands up, her engine's running. She's the equivalent, right, of the old woman, right, on the streets in Tyneside, like that, with her rollers in her hair. And she's just sat there going, like that, with her engine running, going, yo, time to call this. She's
I love that she literally tears Spock apart. Like, she basically just complains about everything. Like, have you written down some of the things she says?
No, because I've been so heavily traumatized by my own dressing down today. I sort of just fell into the fetal position throughout this scene and started sucking my thumb.
But it is, and it's this idea of basically he just sits there and takes it while she's going, I am disappointed in you. Like, I think you're a disappointment. I think you could do better. I think that she could do better. And,
I don't like your eyebrows. You're a shit dancer. Your MySpace isn't even got any fucking songs on it. Your Spotify is laughable.
And the only thing that stops her is that T'Pring goes, your time has run out.
Yeah.
Because the whole point of this ceremony is that you only have 2 minutes or something to slag off the other person and say what you don't like about them. And she could have kept going.
Isn't it the most British thing that you've ever seen? Can you imagine a British wedding where it's just like, right, love, you've got 2 minutes to slag off Kieran. Go.
Yeah.
I don't like your trackies. I don't like your hair. Anyway,
because you're a massive shithead.
Yeah,
and I love the idea of this, like this idea of just getting everything out in the open, and he's just having to sit there and take it. Because like the way the ceremony is designed is that they don't get to respond, so it's literally you just get to. And I think it works. I think it works basically where they do the alternate families. So basically the bride's mother gets to slag off the husband to be, and the husband's mother, husband to be mother, get to slag off the bride.
It's to make them learn, help them learn and grow and develop, apparently. This is what it is. It's a ritualistic beating, let's be honest with you. Just emotional, not physical. It's the paddles from the Simpsons episode of the Stonecutters. That's all it is. The paddling.
That's a paddling.
But Spock is absolutely. He's gone acca, right? And he goes, I must go to the bathroom. And then she can't resist. She can't resist getting that one last. Vulcans must have a. What was it? Vulcans should have a more resilient bladder. And then T'Pring's like, your time is up.
Yeah.
Oh, hey. I tell you what, though, I got it written down here, right? And it's going to be another tangent, guys, so bear with us. This reminded me of my ex's parents.
Oh, God.
The ex called Kai Wynn. of all the exes, right? Of all the exes, guys, I tell you. Sit down.
Child.
Bless you, my child, you bitch.
She's of Beijing.
Yeah, well, I mean, this one was of something because they also gave me a dressing down because they told me I wasn't suitable enough for their daughter because I was a northerner.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I was a northerner.
Were you too good for them?
I was too good. Well, at the time I was at university.
Southerners.
I was at university. I was working with the BBC, and they were just like, "You have got no career prospects. You are not good enough. We prefer our daughter does not date a southerner."
A northerner.
A northerner, yes. Well, why do you fucking live in the north then? So yeah, sorry, I had to get that out. Bit of catharsism on a Friday. So Spock goes to the bathroom. By the way, I'm loving the mahogany all over this fucking quarters. By the way, everything's all mahogany. Screams into a towel, and like today, I was like, Spock lad, I can relate.
This whole scene of him literally just losing his shit and just being like, "Okay, I've got to get back out there." But he calls sickbay and goes, "Hey, okay, cool. I kind of need the cure now to become properly Vulcan. How's Chapel doing with it?" And then Benga's like, "She's kind of buggered off.
We can't find it on Spotify, so she's gone to find it." So.
That's it. And it's just this idea of like he is stressed as hell, and then Mbenga's kind of like, yeah, she's kind of gone and put loads of people in danger to find the cure directly by dealing with the Kirkovites. And he's just like, okay,
she's gone. Like, she's gone to speak to the manager of the Virgin Media call center. Speaking of, Yellow rocks up. Hello. And
I'm yellow with Kirk on.
I'm yellow. Look at the stars. Look at the sky for you.
Yeah. Remember that you can also access all of these things on our website at www.virginmedia.com/. And you're like, do not read a URL out to me. I'm already on the fucking phone. Sorry, this is therapeutic for me.
Never getting Virgin Media sponsorship. So yeah, so Yellow turns up and they're trying to explain that yes, you fixed them, but you didn't fix him right, and he is my friend and he needs to be put back together. They don't understand, and then they say, well, what is your relationship to this person? Well,
yeah, because friend isn't good enough.
Yeah, he's my friend. But friends don't have third-party authorization on the customer's account, and you need to be a relative or a sibling or a spouse in order to have third-party authorization. Are you a third-party authorization? No, he's my friend. Well, you need to get him to add you onto the account, so he needs to go to www.virginmedia. Sorry. So they tried, like, they're failing to understand because she's saying he's a friend, and they're going, well, I don't understand because at the time of the accident, he diverted the shields from him to you, and he feels for you more than a friend. Now, this I'm going to say, this took it out for me. So for an evolved species, they're going into high school romance bollocks because they're like, is he more than a friend? Do you like him, or do you just like him? Because it's very different to, you know. Do you like him like him?
That's a technical adult term.
Yeah.
There.
Do you like him like him? Or do you just like him? And well, I like him, but I don't like him, but I like him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, just get to the fucking point. And then even Chapel goes to her and Ortega's turn round. So she could admit that she likes him more than a friend and she wishes that she could see him more, but they fixed him, but they've taken away the part that she relates to, and he is not the same person, and she wants that person back because that's who she, he is the sum of his parts, and she wants him to be a complete Spock again, not who he is. Although he's easy to talk to and relate to, she misses the Vulcan part of him. And I'm like, this took it out with me. This was a bit of high school bollocks, this.
I think this whole conversation, I think the beginning of it and how it ended work, but I think how they got to it with the actual aliens suggesting that maybe there's more there. But I liked that they demonstrated that that's why it happened the way it happened. Like, that was my complaint earlier, that the reason why Spock was hurt and she wasn't was because he diverted all the shields to just protect her in order for her to stay safe. And obviously, like Spock says later, oh, well, the reason why I did it is because I'm more resilient as a Vulcan, so it makes logical sense. But you know that there's like, I would have played on it more. I would have played on it more of, she could be like, oh yeah, actually maybe he doesn't care for me because that is the most logical course of action in a way. But I think the way it plays out in this scene with the alien isn't as good as it could be.
Well, you emphasise there a part of the scene that's just coming up there, because before we get to that, Pike is trying to delay the mind meld And then we get to the reason why the episode is called Charades, because he offers a game of charades. Now, T'Pring's dad is all up for this game. I like T'Pring's dad. I would have a pint with T'Pring's dad.
I just love this idea, though, and it shows how horrible the Vulcans are in this kind of like stick in the mud way, where they're basically going, oh, our culture is superior to yours, because they're, because obviously they've got all these like rituals that seem silly to us, where it's like, hey, you have to pour special kind of brewed tea. What's the point of that? Like, that's just a waste of time. And yet, like, Pike basically goes, oh, we've got a ritual of our own, and because we're human, you need to partake in it. It's called charades.
Yeah.
And then she immediately dismisses it, being like, this is not a Vulcan thing. And they're like, well, actually, and it's not. It's him playing for time because it's a game.
Yeah.
But effectively, the dad goes like, oh, yeah, I suppose we need to respect this as well.
Adam's calling him the Happy Vulcan. I'm going to call him the Happy Vulcan. I know he's got a name.
That sounds like a restaurant.
Yeah. But just before they get to start, Chapel is at the door. She's come back from Virgin Media. The complaint, she's received a resolution to her complaint outside of the timescales, because, you complain, you get what you want. And she's like, oh, I need to give Spock his vitamins. I love the little visual exchange between Chapel and T'Pring in this scene, because T'Pring sees Chapel and she's like, that's the bitch.
Yeah. Well, we remember, because in a previous episode, like I keep calling her Chappelle, and I think it's not Chappelle like the comedian.
Nurse Chappelle. I like that.
I know, that's it. It's one episode and he just played by Dave Chappelle, and you're just like, what's happened?
Whoa,
in
okay.
the same outfit.
What happened to Jess Bush? Anyway.
In the same outfit. But there's this jealousy because like Chapel and Spock had to pretend to be in love in order to break it off earlier, but obviously there's a seed of doubt in T'Pring because she knows that something's going on. And so basically they Spock and Chapel head off to go and like administer the genome to cure him, and she's looking off to the side. She's basically going
I'm gonna have some nookie. I loved, but the scene that you've mentioned there that came up after, I loved. I cannot speak highly enough of Jess Bush. What a performance in this episode, especially in these last few scenes, because you can feel the tension between Spock. I mean, Spock's face says it all. He's glad that she's safe, but what really embraced me was the breathlessness that she was using, because you could tell that not only does she have feelings, she has really strong feelings, and she gets that. If anyone has ever been in love, and you get to the point where you nearly admit it or you are talking about it, your heartbeat is like 200 BPM, and you sort of you're really like breathless. And she did that, and just at the point he's about to say something, bam, right in the neck. Because she knows she won't be able to handle it. She knows. She jabs him straight in the neck. Goes, leaves, and they complete. She walks out the hallway, she's absolutely broken.
Yeah. See, the thing here is that they say that the genome change will happen immediately. So which is a bit bullshit. But basically, so his genome will change, so he'll go back to normal. But the physical changes will come about later. Yeah. So basically, means he gets his powers back immediately, and he also gets his like senses back. But you have been in love.
You've been in love, Beth. It's called Kylie Minogue.
Kylie Minogue and the delicious Nova dog.
And the delicious Nova. But yeah, so she leaves. Great little scene outside of Pike's quarters there. They complete the mind meld where we find out that the memory that Amanda has shared with Spock is an average day of taking Spock to school. And we're like, why is that? And even T'Prill's just like, oh, why have you picked such an ordinary memory?
Yeah.
And even T'Pring's just like, shut your fucking face.
To be fair, if I was the parent here, I would share the most horrendous memory in the entire world just to see what they did. I'd be really bad at this.
But this scene is, I think it's my second favorite one. They complete the ritual, it's all done, and Tavil goes, despite many faults beyond his control, and these challenges of holding on to his logical side despite his handicap. As soon as they say handicap, you can see him change.
As though being human, as though being part human is a disability to them. It is the most racist, most xenophobic thing in the whole episode. And and the fact that T'Pril just throws it out there, you're like, okay, bitch.
Do you know this is a callback to Star Trek 09, where he's at the Vulcan Science Academy and he's applied for it, and they're like, you have achieved many things despite your handicap. And that's the moment in Star Trek 09 where he just leaves. He's just like, I realise I'm not here. And he's like, ladies and gentlemen, live long and prosper. And he just like drop mics and walks out. I love that scene in that movie. But he's like, despite handicap, and he reveals, because he's like, are you saying that a human would not be able to complete this ritual? She's like, yes. And he's like, I am human. He reveals, he pulls his ears off, and I love what he says about his mother, where he's like, you refer humans as handicaps, yet my mother is the most compassionate, resilient person he has ever known. And that tear, because you know he's been raised on Vulcan, he's suppressed his emotions, she's never actually heard her own son express his feelings for her. It was beautiful.
It is. It's really good, and it's like the way that it's handled is obviously just like T'Pril is like genuinely shocked by it, and obviously so is T'Pring, because she didn't know, because he didn't tell her earlier, and so everyone in the room is just a bit like, oh god, because you can see that the mum and Pike is just like, what are you doing? No, we've just got through it. Don't ruin it all now.
But when speaking,
and then basically he just goes, no, the most important thing is standing up for what humans are like, to like racism effectively, and also like bigging up his mum, because we've got to think, they don't like the smell of us. She has to live on their bloody planet. She has to live on their bloody planet, like suppressing her emotions, not being what she actually is, and not being allowed to be what she is. And she puts up with it with a smile. And obviously there's a little subtext here of what it must be like for immigrants over here. Like, just crazy stuff where you just go, whoa, trying to fit into a society that like isn't initially yours. Like when it is resistant to change,
where there is
going to be difficult.
Where there is a,
I've actually personally at work, I've had like a bit of a, I've had to send loads of emails around or whatever, because we're having like a summer barbecue thing, and I'm having to be like, hey, cool, so there's going to be non-alcoholic beer and there's going to be halal food, is there? Because I have Muslims on my team, so I need to make sure that they're catered for. And then everyone's like, oh, what a faff that is and stuff, and you're like, no, they are part of our society, they are part of us now. Like,
get used to it.
We have to factor these things in.
In Spock's quarters, T'Pring is absolutely livid that Spock did not share with him that he had become I'm tired, guys. Shared with her that he has become human. And again, his logic is sound. He's like, you were dealing with so much. Vulcans cannot lie. I chose to do what was best. And she's like, yet you shared it with everyone else but me. We have shared Katras, everything that we have been from. And then she does the most Rachel thing possible. We need to take a break.
Yeah.
And that's it. The wedding's off. They are taking a break, and she just fucking leaves.
I like T'Pring, but I feel like her reaction here isn't right. It doesn't feel in character, because Spock explains it fairly well.
Which is
like,
logical.
hey, I couldn't tell you. Yeah. And then she's just like, but I think what the episode doesn't do is it should have played more on her jealousy towards Chapel.
The sensing of the feelings.
Because it has a little scene, but the whole thing here is, I think the reason why she's like, we need to take a break is because she knows that there's something there, and she's like, okay, so I think it's this epitome of a typical argument where it's not about what you're arguing about.
Yeah,
But
and
I
there's
don't
no
think the scene
confrontation.
puts that across.
Yeah, there's no confrontation within that, and it's not addressed in the episode. I would have liked to have been alluded to by her, but it was not addressed. And then she walks out. We see that Chapel is receiving a rejection from the Vulcan Science Academy, and she's just basically, I don't care. I made first contact with an alien species that had transcended. I made a discovery. I turned someone from a human into a Vulcan. And he's like, oh, yeah, it's fascinating. Please discuss it. She's like, you'll read it in my paper later this year, love.
Yeah, she just drops the mic. She just turns the thing off. She's just like, yeah, cool. I'm sorry, I'm too busy doing interesting things to be part of your actual silly little fellowship thing.
But Pike,
it effectively hangs up.
But Pike being Pike, like the smallest scene in the episode where he's just like, look, I know you're a human, but if you want to feel something, commiserations. Clink on the whiskey, and I'm just like, oh, you are the ultimate man.
Daddy.
You're the ultimate man, Anson Mount. Anyway, back to the transporter. Back to the transporter room. I'm a confident heterosexual, guys, but still. Back in the transporter room. Oh my. We haven't said that for a while. I needed to get that in. Spock is talking to his mother, and he's like, "Why did you choose the memory of him
Two Girls, One Cup"? That's what it should have been in the mind meld. And Spock's just like, why did you do that? No. Sorry. It's just Amanda just trolling Spock with the memory. That would be amazing.
So he says, why did you choose the memory of an ordinary day going to school? And then she says, well, it was the first time that I saw you being accepted for being yourself. For the first time she saw Spock being accepted despite herself being shunned by other parents. And I love the fact that she says, and again, this is a message. This is the TOS vibes in Strange New Worlds come out strongest when they are delivering the messages that are so under the radar for older people, that judgment is a sign of their weakness, not ours. And it harks back to Gene Roddenberry's philosophy, where when he was speaking to Nichelle Nichols in the 60s, and she was on about the messages that he was planting into the episode, and she was like, Gene, do you think that these people would understand and get this, understand that you are trying to send these messages? And he's like, the grown-ups won't, the kids will.
Yeah.
And we grew up with Star Trek in the 90s, in the 80s and the 90s. Kids grew up with Star Trek in the 60s. We understood the message. Older generation didn't.
Yeah.
And I
see there, BBC. That's the correct way to reach out to children.
You better believe it. Last scene is
He shoots, he scores.
Thank you.
Okay.
The last scene is in Spock's quarters. He's walking around. He looks like he's going to build up the courage to something. As he is about to walk out, at the door is Nurse Chapel. And he's like, I was about to see you. And she's like, well, I'm here. Again, her acting, absolutely on point. He explains that him and T'Pring have decided to take time apart because he has feelings for someone else. And he doesn't want to suppress it any longer. And he's like, Vulcans feel feelings more than humans. I know you guys all find it funny, don't? Yes. But they feel feelings more, and they can't hold it any longer. They kiss.
Yeah.
The tension has been building up halfway through this episode, and we get the kiss. And I love the fact at the end, what does it mean? And she just goes, I don't know, shut up.
Yeah, that's actually just tells him to shut up. It's a beautiful little scene. It's a great payoff for this like love arc that we've had here and stuff. I think this was a really good episode. It wasn't fantastic. Like I have quibbles with it.
Yes.
But it has so many good bits, and it's Strange New Worlds introducing characters that immediately steal the show. Like we had it with the amazing lawyer character, we've had it with Pellier, we've had it with like Notkirk, we've had it with
Not Kirk. I
what is
like
it
that.
like with to Prill and this is just and do we ever get her husband's name? To Pring's dad. Does he get
Sven, I believe.
Sven? Okay, but then
It's
they
either
are
Seren or
amazing.
Sven, I believe.
They are really fun characters, and even the Virgin Media are like actually quite fun in this. And it's just so good that they literally go, "Hey, you're only here for this episode, so you better steal the show." And then they're just knocking it out the park every time.
I would have appreciated if I've got one little flaw, because I'm going to say this season of Strange New Worlds hasn't been as strong as the first season, but we are only halfway through. And I also will say that this episode dwarfs last week's episode, which I was personally not that much of a fan on. This one, we got great interpersonal relationships, great character development, and we introduced characters that in the space of seconds, not minutes, seconds, we either instantly liked or instantly loathed, because they are so well written, well acted, and well portrayed. We just feel, we sense, we know what we think about them. And this was a brilliant episode. I think it's one of my favourites of the season. And yeah, I can't wait for next week. I love Strange New Worlds. I absolutely love Strange New Worlds. Brilliant episode. That was our review.
Yeah, I will say though, I'm not done here, because I think that it was my thing. What I was saying to you before we started is the fact of I was disappointed with this episode. It was still very good, but it's the fact of I felt like this should have been a two-parter, because there's two very different things happening here, and
Explain
I don't think we get enough time with both of them, because we basically have Nurse Chapel and her application to the academy. And obviously Spock being turned into a human, and it feels very much at the start that it kind of railroads into the how does Spock become a human, and it kind of seems to just speed to that. They're in the shuttle, they go into the anomaly, okay, then they wake up and it does that, and that happens a bit too fast for my liking, because it's literally in the before title sequence that all happens in that. And we talked about it for 20 minutes, and that's literally before the title sequence goes, isn't
Would you say that instead of an ABC plot, they should have just sticked with an AB?
I think they should have done an episode that was about Chapel first.
Yes.
The episode so you had a full episode that was basically about Chapel, about her stressing out about the academy, about her like trying to hide her feelings for Spock and trying to dodge Spock and stuff.
Yeah.
Going into the anomaly. And then eventually ending up on a plane, on a shuttle pod with Spock. And then the end of the episode is like, he's human. And then the second part is, it's all about Spock and him trying to be human. More interaction with T'Pring and more kind of interaction there, and more sort of tension between T'Pring and Chapel. And then Chapel doing the science. And then it ending up how it does, but just with more time. Because like we said, this was an hour episode. This was longer than usual episodes. But it still feels like if they were going to make it an hour, couldn't they have made it like an hour and 20 minutes and made it... No, that's not how time works. Whatever 2 hours is.
I'm gonna say...
Hour and 20 minutes, and then... No, wait... Okay, more time, but make 2 40-minute episodes.
Editors have to make it flow, which is fine. You don't want things to drag on too long. But I am going to say that the showrunners themselves have said 10 episodes is not enough.
Yeah.
But budget, fatigue, crew, everything like that. We've all heard the horror stories of the 90s where there was 26 episodes for an average season of Star Trek, 14 hours to 18 hours a day filming. People were crashing their cars, going home after these days. There's a lot of regulations, but a lot of them have said 10 episodes is not enough. If Paramount said, okay, here's 13, which was, in television... When you commission a new series, you commission a pilot. If the pilot is good, you commission to series. The commission to series is a 13-episode commission.
Yeah.
If it does well within its first 4 or 5, or maybe 6, the network would then say, on top of the 13, we need you to do 7 to 8 to 9 more.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's how series ended up being 22 episodes.
22 episodes, yeah. Now, this was at a time where a TV show would start filming in July. As they are filming, by the time they get to the air date of September, they have banked 5, maybe 6 episodes. So then it sort of gauges with the network how well it's doing. And then as they are to the point of, say, where we are nearly finished episode 7 or episode 8 or episode 9, what do you want us to do? They have 2 things for the cliffhanger. They have a finale for episode 13, and then they leave it open. The network then says, this is doing well, full commission 22, 24, 26. That's when they go. The way TV is produced now, this was done in 2022, and I mean early 2022, as Strange New World Season 1 was airing. They'd got the green light for Season 2, but they didn't know that Season 3 was going to be a thing until 3 months ago. So then you have to... You can't just, pad stuff out, you can't flesh stuff out, because you don't know this might be the last season. I've got 10 episodes, I'm not going to get any more than that or anything like that. It's so weirdly done now compared to what it used to do. Can you hear me, Synoiz? Your side, there you go.
Such a dumb way of doing it. It's such a dumb way of
things take longer now.
You need to do plot arcs.
Yes.
And yet that's why we get so many series where it goes, hey, this could be a great plot arc for 5 episodes, but we've got to get it over with in 2 because we don't know if we're going to get another series after this. And it just seems like it's very damaging to how you write stuff.
Things are done slowly now. So Season 3 of Picard was back-to-back with Season 2.
Which is really difficult to believe, considering what a difference in quality
there
is between the 2 seasons.
Season 3 of Picard finished more or less at the start of 2022. They then worked all the way through 2022 on editing, visual effects, composing. The composers for the music in Star Trek Picard, which is amazing, I must say. That was finished in September 2022. So they'd been working on that for the better part of a year. Now imagine doing that with the timescales you had in the 90s.
Yeah.
It's impossible. So there's a justification. Yes, they want more episodes, but then you have to think, but it'll take longer to produce. And now you've got the WGA strike, the Writers Guild of America strike, and now SAG-AFTRA, the Actors Guild strike.
SAG-AFTRA?
SAG-AFTRA.
Okay, that sounds like a Final Fantasy boss.
Yeah, but they walked out yesterday in support of their Writers Guild. Everything in Hollywood has now stopped. The brakes are on. Nothing is getting written. Strange New World Season 3, we might not even get until 2025.
Bloody hell.
So
that's crazy, man.
Yeah, so everything is done way differently than what it was in the 90s and the early 2000s. Everything is slower. Yes, we get higher quality, but it's 10 episodes and that's it. Some maybe get 13. I think Star Trek Discovery is getting... Because Season 5 wrapped at 10. I think Paramount have said we're going to give you 2 or 3 episodes to wrap up the series.
Yeah.
But even then, that's very rare.
It's awful, but think about all the cool stuff we could have had with Strange New Worlds had they given stuff time to breathe. Like Umbenga's daughter, that got wrapped up far too quickly.
Yeah.
Hummer had nothing to do, basically. Great character, and then he was just gone. And, that's why I get worried about Pelia. If we are halfway through Season 2 now, and Pelia hasn't really done anything. We need a full Pelia episode, and I'm sure there's one coming. But if she just dies at the end of the series, or if she's just not in season 3, that's going to be such a loss.
It's going to be such a bummer. It really is. It really is.
But I can feel it coming, so I'm hoping I'm wrong. But yes, okay, we need to wrap this up.
We need to wrap this up, but first,
until we've been on for 2 hours.
But first, guys, hang on. I think I'm getting. Oh my days!
Incoming transmission.
Guys, we are getting an incoming transmission from Starfleet Command. Let me just see what it is. Computer, bring it up. We are back, guys.
We're back.
We are back, guys. We are
that
muted.
over, yes.
Bear with us one moment. Science officer, entertain the crowd.
Wonderful that we've got such great fans and people who watch the show and all of the Nerdy Up North things. Here we've got Lee Davis, we've got Molly Charlton. So,
God damn it, the audio's not working on the wheel. So what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to explain briefly. Last week, there was a competition for you to win the t-shirt, for you to win the stickers. And all you had to do was to subscribe to the Nerdy Up North YouTube channel, click the bell, take a screenshot, and post it on either Twitter or Facebook. We received many.
I did that, and you didn't, and my name's not on the wheel.
Because you work for us.
We did a video.
You are getting one anyway.
Semantics. It's just a technicality.
It's a technicality.
I could have given that to a bat. I could have given that to a friend of mine who's a bat, and then they could have been flapping around wearing an extra large t-shirt, slapping stickers on stuff. Maybe.
I'm going to fix this.
Only one name
I'm fixing
That's
this.
because you're in all of the episodes, Beth.
I'm fixing it.
You're fixing it?
I am fixing it. Who needs an engineer on a starship? Can you hear us now, everybody? There we go. Can you hear us now? I have fixed it. I have reversed the polarity.
Can you hear me?
Can you tell I'm tired? So yes, we got literally a few entries to the competition.
We got 10 more entries, but they were all from the guy who keeps calling me Hitler.
Yeah.
So...
what have you done? I have done many things. Can everyone hear me? Everyone in the chat. Can you hear us, Daddy? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Papa, can you hear me?
I can hear. Brilliant.
Chris,
right.
I can hear. That's all
okay,
that matters.
So we did that competition last week. It closed at 6 p.m. BST tonight. And these are all the lovely, handsome people that have decided to enter the competition to win a tent. And I am about to randomly press on the wheel. Stop laughing, Science Officer Synoiz. We are doing it live.
We're going to Star Wars it. Do it.
Do it.
Do it.
Lies of the Jedi. So, yes, get on with it. Shut your face, Paul. Are you ready, Science Officer Synoiz?
No.
Okay. When this wheel stops, we have to yell Dabo. That is the law of the universe. Are you ready?
Okay, well, you need to indicate when it's done. Cause it's
okay,
delayed.
I'm going to spin in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I'm spinning. Oh, it's spinning. There's lots of spinny things. There's spinny. And the winner is... Molly Charlton!
Oh, it's Molly Charlton.
Molly Charlton, who has entered the competition. Well done.
Oh.
Well done, Molly Charlton. We know who Molly is, or some of us do. Molly, send me a message on the Nerdy Up North Twitter page or contact us on Facebook, and we will get this lovely t-shirt sent out to you with a host of Nerdy Up North stickers. Let me just go back. Adam Bailey,
amazing.
You missed me. I didn't see your entrance, Adam, but rest assured I will catch you in the future.
What we'll do is when we do future competitions, Adam, we'll see if we can give you 2 entries then.
Yeah.
If you send it through, and then you have double the chance of winning against the 2 people that will enter them. So we need more competitions.
We do need more
We need a
competitions.
competition where you can win a bottle of my oxygen.
Ooh, Synoiz breath.
Maybe.
Synoiz breath coming soon. But
Synoizian breath.
Synoizian breath. Geesian breath.
Welcome to the chat, Slicey boy. We're just finishing up.
We're just about to wrap up because, guys, it's okay. Goodwill, I have Molly's address. Wink. Oh, Paul knows all the mans in Nerdy
Paul,
Up North.
can you just be less creepy as
Yes.
fuck?
Could you be less MILF huntery and more leader? Right. Guys, that was our review of Charades, Star Trek Strange New Worlds, season 2, episode 5. Holy shit, we have just hit 2 hours as well. Thank you so much to everyone who has joined us tonight. You are absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much to everyone who is watching this back on a recording. We love each and every one of you. If you are not a member of Nerdy Up North already, what are you doing?
What?
In the links below, which pissed me off earlier on because they all got disabled by YouTube and I had to manually re-enter them, we have got the links to the Nerdy Up North Facebook community, the Nerdy Up North YouTube channel, the Nerdy Up North Twitch, TikTok, Discord, Twitter. I'm loving your face right now.
I've run out of things to do, so hopefully there's no more social media platforms.
Oh, there is.
Threads!
There's plenty more. We're on Threads!
Are we on Threads?
Nerdy Up North
I
is
just
on
started
Threads. Paul has taken upon himself to conquer the world of the Threads. Not the 1980...
Adam suggesting Synoiz jam as a prize. Adam, you can have my Synoiz jam anytime you want.
Yes.
Clear it with the wife, though.
We are on Threads and not the 1984 BBC drama about a nuclear holocaust happening in Sheffield. We have got over 500 followers on Threads.
When there's an obscure reference and it's not me doing it, it feels weird.
If it's about the BBC, I'm there. Follow us on Threads. Yes, if you like the intro, music, it was done by the lovely 13.5-foot tall Viking god that is Adam, with his glorious beard and massive guns and his guitar. All of his links are down there below. The Velvet Snatch. Do you like the Velvet Snatch? All of their links are down below. Is it you?
It is. I will also be streaming on Twitch after this. So if you
want
to watch me playing Final Fantasy VIII, we're very, very near the end. If you want to see me play that after, you can join me on Twitch at twitch.tv/SYNOIZ. So come and join us then.
Make sure, guys, you sign the petition in the description to save Star Trek Prodigy. There are thousands. Show Paramount that we are serious about our Star Trek and the fans care. If you like us, you'll also like Spectrum Sanctorum, their link in the description. If you like a better show with sexier people, Connor Trinier.
Good lord.
Good lord, oh my. Connor Trinier, get the frosted tips back. Call me. I know someone. Shuttlepod's YouTube channel is there below. We have got the Velvet Snatch. Do you like me talking about Star Trek? Come and join me on Twitter at Goodwill None, because I never shut up about it. And you can also see selfies of me being so happy with my... Where's it gone? Oh no! There it is. I am the unicorn. I am the unicorn princess. Look at this. Look
I'm
how
the one who
beautiful.
sleeps with men, and I don't feel like the gayest person here. It's really awkward.
Good. Also, yes, you can follow me on there. This week, Nerdy Up North is live, 7:30 p.m. BST on our YouTube channel to talk about Disney. I believe it's the top 5 Disney channels, and I think
No, just fine. Disney characters.
And I think a very handsome science officer will be there hosting it. Am I right, Simon?
No. What's happened is we've changed it now, where we're just going to shave Sammy's head.
Good.
Yes, I will be the co-host on that, and we have wonderful guests. We have we have 2 wonderful cosplayers joining us on this, so it's going to be, it's going to be a great episode. We're talking about our top 5 Disney characters, and mine are all kind of obscure, if I'm perfectly honest. So hopefully they'll have picked sensible.
Slicey Boy is asking for your Twitch. Slicey Boy, it's in the description below, lad.
It's in the description. Go and give it a click.
Go on, give it a click. Give it a click. If you're in a clicking mood, like this video, show that YouTube that we actually matter, if you don't mind.
We matter?
Yes, well, speaking of Sammy, and speaking of not shaving her head, this Monday, there's a Monsters Up North episode where they are talking about Universal Monsters. And then, on Tuesday, I will be live on the Nerdy Up North Twitch channel. But what will I be playing? Will I be playing an Uncharted? Or will I be playing something else? Tune in to find out. Wink, wink. Then, I believe on Thursday, although it's not confirmed, there may be a new episode of Jake's new series, We Need to Talk, where there will be a very special guest. And then on Friday, you are back with us on the U.S.S. Adequate.
It's this shit all over
It's this shit again.
This pile of shit.
Yeah, back with us on the U.S.S. Adequate, where we will be reviewing episode 6 of Strange New Worlds. That is it, guys. I think it's pretty much time for us to get back up to the Adequate, get curtains drawn, have a bath, and go to sleep with the sultry tones of Synoiz, playing Final Fantasy VIII, and most likely, and I'm going to plant this seed, having a Domino's.
I'm not having a Domino's.
He's having a Domino's.
I caught myself in the mirror the other day, and I put on way too much weight, so I'm dieting at the minute. There will not be a Domino's this week.
He's having a Domino's.
Maybe next week.
He's going to have a Domino's. Adam
Thanks
Bailey.
so much for tuning in, everyone. It is great, and yeah, if you can join me on stream after this, that'll be fun.
Until next week, guys, stay safe, live long and prosper. See you next week.
Miles!